movie is concerned is something called Murder Party. And, yeah, at times I felt like it's an appropriate title for all the wrong reasons. It's 103 minutes, it's M-rated, and when you think about the title itself, it has both sinister and fun overtones. And in reality, what you get is this highly orchestrated game in which death is the central component. So the fear of being knocked off is the driver. Jean Chardon Spitzer, or that should be Jean, I think, Chardon Spitzer, played by Alice Pohl, is a highly stressed 35-year-old architect, single woman without children. While successful, she frets about each potential job, and so it is for her latest potential commission. The client, who turns out to be a long-standing board game creator, is looking to update a beautiful historic mansion. He wants to see models of what candidates for the job have in mind. That's fair enough. So it is that Jean meets the owner, Caesar Degas, played by Eddie Mitchell's son Theo, Pablo Pauly, who picks her up in an old-style convertible. Much to her chagrin, Theo immediately puts the hard word on it, hoping to score. Jean is further taken aback when she's confronted by the antics of the butler and other adult members of the family. So she wonders what she's walked into, as you would. Unfortunately, her pitch doesn't go down well at all. And then suddenly, she's confronted by a game of life and death from which there's no escape. So it's a game not only Jean, but all members of the household must participate in. Suffice to say, clues need to be followed, solutions need to be found, and of course, what would a movie of this type be without a twist in the tale? So, Jacqui, lightweight nonsense, I'm sorry. None of this can be taken seriously. It's set up that way from the get-go and becomes sillier as it progresses, does it not?
Oh, it's silly right from the start, Alex.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't get it, you know? It was just really kooky. All the characters were over kooky, actually. And so you don't believe in anything when they're that weird. And when you said, they have these challenges they have to complete, even the challenges aren't very interesting, or they don't make sense. It doesn't make sense. The film.
No.
I quite liked the chateau, however. That was rather magnificent, although it seemed to be decorated in a kind of 1960s dollhouse style, but it was magnificent building and magnificent grounds, so I quite liked looking at that.
Yeah, this is not a word, but they gaudified it. It was really gaudy. Why did this have to be 103?
Well, the characters were gaudy too, Alex. Yeah. Their clothing and their lipstick and they were kind of cartoonish.
Surely this didn't need to be 103 minutes, did it? I mean, I was bored through parts of it. Were you not?
Well, I wasn't bored so much as I just was wondering why it was so bad.
Oh, okay. So the 103 minutes didn't trouble you?
Well, no, it's an average length of a film, so I'm quite okay with that.
Okay. Well, okay, so...
I don't think it would have been any better if it had been 10 minutes shorter.
Greg, the writer's Nicholas Pleskov, who also directs, and Elsa Marpo, they obviously set out to create characters with inflated egos. To me, they're little more than cardboard cutouts, aren't they?
Well, I found that this film was a bit of a disappointment. The poster, the trailer, all the advertising material for this French comedy drama positioned it as a Gallic variation of Rian Johnson's clever murder mystery Knives Out.
Yes.
But it fizzles rather than dazzles, and it borrows heavily from a number of other films like Ready or Not, Clue, even Escape Room, and even Murder by Death, and even some Agatha Christie is thrown in there as well. But I just found that the characters are a little bit over the top, unbelievable. But as Jacqui mentioned, I think the production design that creates the mansion is fantastic. It benefits from some over-the-top garish colour palette, glorious production design that's rich in detail, and it creates this sprawling family mansion and gives the whole thing a sort of artificial quality. And it's been nicely shot, but I just didn't believe in the characters at all. I thought Alice Pohl was quite good there in the lead role there, but just sort of I sat there scratching my head thinking what that is going on.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I mean, jealousies, rivalries, they're par for the course in the game that unfolds. I really tired of the shenanigans, Dave. Although I did appreciate the surprise near the end. I mean, the actors, look, they did what's asked of them, but I can't say any of them really stood out. So this is sort of a movie that barely passes the time as far as I'm concerned. What about you?
I think I approached it with a bit of a different view, though, because I knew it was a parody of the genre, so that's why they were borrowing from other films, because they're kind of trying to send up it without going over the top with the send up. So the characters were over the top because they were basically kind of making fun of other characters from other films. So I didn't struggle with it as much as you guys, I think, because I knew that it was supposed to be a parody, so I was expecting the characters to be over the top, and I actually spent most of the movie laughing at the fact that, oh yeah, I do know where that character's from, or I know where that's been taken from, kind of thing. So I think that's why it was cartoonish as well, is that the director wanted it to kind of be a fun, cartoonish kind of take on Agatha Christie and all of that, because, yeah, you see things in different characters here where it's like you've got the butler who's in love with the daughter and all of that kind of thing, and I don't think it fully worked. I think it could have been done a little bit better, but I did get a few laughs from it along the way.
Well, don't you think a lot of people would have tuned out long before the conclusion if did they actually stay on till the end? That just gave me the impression it's that sort of movie that people tune out and they'll be thinking about their washing.
Yeah, I think people need to be aware that it's a parody before they go into it. I think that's the thing that kind of changes it, because it's a very different audience that will go and watch a parody film than will actually go and watch a real thrilling kind of murder mystery.
Well, let's accept it's hard.
Dave, just because it's a parody doesn't mean that it worked, though. I mean, I think a parody should be cleverer than the films of the genre that they're parodying.
Definitely,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
And I think
I don't think this one was. So.
Yeah, I think that's why movies like Not Another Teen Movie works, whereas the later scary movie films don't work because they started to almost take themselves too seriously. And I think that's what happens here. They're trying to make a parody film, but at the same time trying to make an interesting murder mystery. And you've either got to go one way or the other. Completely over the top and make fun of it, or go the other way and become like a kind of black comedy.
Well, hardly something you get too excited about, even from your mouth, even though you've sort of spoken a bit more highly of it. So, David, you can start us off. I mean, I gather you'll pass it. So we're talking Murder Party. It's M-rated, 103 minutes. Go for it. Yeah,
I'm going to give it 5.5 out of 10.
Okay, so it squeaks in. I'll give it a 5. Dave? Greg?
I'll give it a 5.
Mm-hmm. And where's your fail mark here, Jacqui?
No, you've read my mind. I actually gave it a straight 5. But most of that is for the little boy. I think his name is Hercule. Hercule. Yep. He was kind of cute. I liked him. So he gets it just to the line of 5.
Just the line, yeah. So bare pass. So, I mean, boy, oh boy, the 4 movies we've talked about, as I said, Greg, you've got 2 that are really good and 2 that are very average. That's kind of where we're at. So, look, Jacqui, I know you've got it. Thank you very much for being with us, and you attend to what you need